My name is Leanne Butler Owens, and I founded LullaLee's. Actually, I wrote a children's book, and I went out to the schools and I went to promote LullaLee's, and that's when I saw that there was a problem, a real problem. I went into low-income area schools to promote education, and what I found was they didn't have books in the schools for the low-income children. The teachers didn't have the tools. They were purchasing most of the tools that they needed. And I was just flabbergasted. Living in the United States, I expected more. 85% of the juvenile delinquents are illiterate. So that's a big aha for our community, that we need to do something differently. We need to educate our children, and we need to bring reading into what they're doing, because it's the platform of building everything out. They're not going to even be able to get a job unless they know how to read. Right now, there's a great percentage of children that simply don't have the books in the low-income sector. When you look at the social impact and just the structure of a community, the school itself just doesn't have the resources that even a middle-class neighborhood would have. Their libraries just don't have the same kind of books. Teachers don't have the same kind of supplies. Even the facility itself is in shambles. So if you're a child in a low-income situation, you're not excited to go to school. You don't have the same participation with parent participation, not because the parent doesn't want to be there, but in a low-income setting, the problem is that most of the parents have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to pay for basic needs, just to make ends meet. I believe this is what leads to the long-term process of when you have children on the street, when they don't have hope and they don't have the tools that they need, then you're going to see crime in those areas at a higher rate. You're going to see children, doing illegal things because they simply don't know the resources that they have available to them in terms of education, and they don't see that they're going to ever be able to excel or leave and move up, especially if there's generations. It just keeps going on. If you have adults that can't read, they're not reading with their children, children aren't reading, and it just continues. And so it takes somebody with, a child or a person with strong will to say, you know what, I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to be different than this. But you don't have the same support system, so it's very difficult. It's hard to get to a teenage child. They're trying to, that's a critical stage anyways, where they're developing, trying to find out who they are, and if they've sheltered or they haven't come forward with what's going on with them, they're not going to do it at that age. They may wait many, many years before they actually admit, I can't really read, or I memorize things because I can't really read, and I don't want to tell anybody that, because you get to a certain age where they're not going to really share this information with their parents. It's not something that they want to share with their friends, and then you find that our adult illiteracy rate is so high. Whereas a child, you could actually have healthy conversations with children. And if you're able to identify, and they may not be able to exactly say, well, this is the problem that I'm having, but the parent can kind of identify from the conversation. It's really important for parents to spend time with their children. Whether they say 20 minutes a day, I'm going to read with my child, I'm going to spend that time. But I think the biggest thing is for them to become active in school in some way. And I know that parents work, but if they could just come in once a month and just see what their child is doing, they are the best judge. They watch their child 24/7, so they are the best judge to see if there's something different, if they see that their child's not really involved in what's going on in a classroom setting.